and welcome to Global Theater News. I am Aisha Hughes, and we will be recapping the evolving world of performance from expressionist machinal to a staged production of Eating Frosted Flakes covered in baby oil. Our top story this morning, sci-fi theater is the new trend. Dystopian settings of nuclear fallout, alien invasions, and deadly pandemics are prominent topics of new theater. Nothing like coping with existential dread like writing about the world ending. This begs the question, how did we get here? Where do we go from here? Is a staged production of Eating Frosted Flakes covered in baby oil theater? Who's to say? My correspondents and I today will be summarizing various topics we've covered on Global Theater News, and we will be answering the question, how did we get here? Up next, we have Kaya's Corner.
Theater has evolved in many ways since the 18th century. First, we saw a rise in realism, with playwrights becoming interested in depicting everyday life with all of its struggles. Technical theater in the 18th century was very elaborate, with costumes and scenery being very intricate. Writers like Ibsen began asking philosophical questions in their plays, including moral analyses in their works. Social comedies by George Bernard Shaw and Oscar Wilde also became popular in Britain at this time, which were quite the opposite of the philosophical works that other Europeans were putting out. Romanticism and melodrama dominated the 19th century, with conflicting themes of realism and non-realism taking over in the second half. By the turn of the century, artists wanted to reject traditional techniques and experiment, leading to many avant-garde works. It allowed playwrights to innovate and bring ideas together in new and unexpected ways. Old classic stories were reimagined as something completely fresh, renewing their relevancy. Modernist and postmodernist movements grew, such as epic theater, theater of the cruel, and theater of the absurd. Today, more and more theater productions are reviving traditional storytelling mechanisms to reflect the modern age. This can be seen in the use of new sounds, new set designs, new costumes, and ultimately, new subject matters about contemporary culture.
That was a great segment. And on to the next one.
Hi, my name is Annie, and I will be going over major types and styles of theater through the eras, based on my personal opinion. On the bottom, we have melodrama. The hero-villain trope, it's overused, it's boring, I want something new. Next, we have realism. Look, I'm a Chekhov girly, but normal people doing normal things, I do that every day. I don't need to see it on stage. Next, we have 21st century theater. Okay, look, it's kind of cool, but it's kind of weird. And, we don't have enough of it yet, because we're still living in the 21st century, so, Next, epic theater. I like that one show we learned about, The Good Person of Szechuan, but there's better ones. I do like people talking to other people. That's cool. Next, protest theater. I like protest theater. I like using different styles of theater to get your message across on stage. That's awesome. But I'm a shapes and colors girly. So my top one is expressionism, because I like the colors and the shadows and the lights and the sets. Thank you, and back to Aisha.
That was a great segment. And on to the next one.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Kobe the intern here. Nobody really wanted to help me film mine, so I had to do it myself. Alright, so I'm just covering the common themes I found throughout theater history. First, family. Family is such an important part of a lot of these plays. It deals with the weight and the things we will go through to protect them and the influence they have in our lives. A couple examples I'd say is A Raisin in the Sun and A Doll's House. Alright, moving to second. That's oppression. Terrible thing. A lot of these plays deal with certain types of oppression that these people went through and the things they had to do to fight against it. Yeah, I would say Uncle Tom's Cabin and Machinal are great examples of this. Fantastic plays. And our third, last but not least, Identity. A lot of these plays deal with people discovering themselves and who they are. The Good Person of Szechuan is one. Fantastic play, and those are common thematic elements I found throughout theater history. Back to you, Aisha.
That was a great segment. And on to the next one.
Thank you, Aisha, for that. That was wonderful. Speaking of protest theater, I thought it was a very important developing art, to be honest. That was one of my favorites. I thought it was very important for the culture and for developing countries at the time, during the 1930s, 70s, and 80s. It was a great form of expression, and countries were developing, governments were brand new and fresh, and these movements were fairly new, so it helped create and join people in a way through art, Global theater was happening all around the world, it's a very redundant sentence, but it was true. It worked for South Africa with Moses Albert, it worked with the Candle King and the tropical counterculture movement in Brazil, and it also worked with Diana Raznovich. She helped Argentina a lot through her art and through her political cartoons. We need more protest theater, and one that I am very fond of, you could say in a way, is that we need more representation for the Milk Before Cereal movement, or the MBC. It's very personal to me. I don't know if I can say this during... Okay, thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Aisha.
That was a great segment. And on to the...
A shift into realism, bringing the illusion of real life to the stage. Rather than the melodrama of past works, we are now attempting to create a play so realistic it could plausibly happen on stage or off. Ibsen and Chekhov used this technique in their works A Doll's House and Three Sisters, respectively. These two plays also share in their revolutionary idea that women want to have their own lives and marriage is a prison for women. Realism strikes again as this was far too real for many, many audiences to cope with. The plays take to the stage with perspectives of women who feel isolated, stifled, and unsatisfied with the lives they have been given and the behaviors expected of them. As these plays are performed in realistic style, it creates the image of a real-life struggle for autonomy before the audience's eyes. Ibsen, in particular, brought real-life feminism to the stage by suggesting that, like men, women should be allowed to be deadbeats too. This was so controversial, he was forced to create a secondary ending as to make the work more digestible and acceptable by his audience's standards. Groundbreaking theater setting the stage for many years to come.
That was a segment. Next one.